Good morning. Today, the title that I've given is 10th Wave, The Importance of a Focal Point. And my blurb is this. One of the mainstream accusations of the Occupy movement is that it does not have a focus. This is true and false. Many in the movement do not know much of anything beyond his or her personal grievances. Many still may not see the bigger picture. However, there is one major consensus or focal point. Monetary corruption is pandemic within the system. Nearly everyone wants to take money and corporate influence out of politics and government. I would add out of the courts as well, for it is through the courts that the police are somewhat controlled. Last night I attended my first Occupy Melbourne General Assembly, and I must say they are extremely organized in how they conduct their meetings, and this was only meeting number 2. I did not make it to meeting number 1. I've also been to the a couple of General Assembly meetings of the Occupy Space Coast group. These are 2 separate groups within a 20-mile radius of where I live. Obviously, Melbourne is closer to me than the Space Coast one, which meets in Merritt Island and Cocoa. And we occupied the 2 most busy intersections in the county. One in Melbourne, and then the second one is in Merritt Island. Anyway, they were extremely efficient in how they run the meeting. Lasted about 3 hours. They allowed comments from pretty much everyone, and they actually make proposals. They take minutes. They give reports. They're creating action groups, and they are looking at many aspects of what needs to be done. Media, liaison between the community and the police. They're looking at lots and lots of things. A legal team, an education team. I signed up for both of those, by the way. And first aid. I mean, they're looking at every aspect that needs to be addressed in a movement, and they are anticipating this movement growing larger and larger and larger, just as is happening around the world. Folks, this is the wake up. I've been telling you, for people that say nothing happened in the 9th wave, pay attention. Lots of things happened in the 9th wave. Did all of the changes that we want addressed come? Of course not. Are they changing? They will. Watch. The old system is going down the drain as people awaken more and more and more. But I want to look at this monetary corruption is pandemic within the system. People are recognizing that our government has been bought and paid for by corporations and powerful interest groups. Many may not realize it, that it's the oil industry that has a tremendous amount of control. Many may not realize it, that it is the pharmaceutical industry that has a tremendous amount of control. Many may not realize it, that it is the military-industrial complex that has a tremendous amount of control. Many may not realize it, that it is a political agenda for one world domination that has a tremendous control. Banking has a tremendous control over the entire thing because it all involves the monetary system. And banking, as I pointed out last night at the meeting, banking is the single most corrupt influence in our world today. Modern banking is a fraud. It is Corruption at its finest, it is a masterful deception. Nothing works the way we think it works. People do not understand money. They do not understand where money comes from. That's why I signed up for education, because I want to teach you where money comes from. It does not come from banks. I want you to understand that it comes from people's production and creativity. It always has, it always will. We individually and collectively create wealth by our efforts. The banking system neither produces anything nor creates anything. It actually stops production and stops creativity, or stifles creativity. The banking system has always done that because they have managed to control the flow of information, the law, and every aspect of our lives. They did this for their own selfish reasons, obviously, but from a higher perspective, this is how we awaken. We awaken when things get so bad that the grievances become insufferable. And that's one commonality. Everybody in the meeting and around the world has grievances about the way the world works. You think there's no commonality? That's the commonality. And the corruption is in the mainstream media. It's in the governments. It's in our corporations. It's in our police departments. It's in our courts. It's in our legislatures. It's in every aspect of our lives. It's in our medicine. It's in our food. It's in our air. It's in our water. All of the greed and the corruption and the craziness, the insanity of our world is now coming home for us to look at it so that we can create something new. Don't tell me there's no focus. But you can tell me that there's a lot of education that needs to be done, and I will agree with you. There are a lot of people that still haven't put the pieces of the puzzle together, and I want to say this, not anyone, even me, has all of the answers, which is why we need to listen to each other. Oh, I forgot one area of important corruption that we need to focus on, and that is religion. There continues to be, in my personal purview of information that's flowing to me or coming at me, there's still people that are struggling, trying to make Christianity, or in my case, it's always Christianity. They're trying to make that the dominant religion. And Christianity, when it's a religion, is part of the problem. I don't hate Christianity. I got a friend invite yesterday from someone that I did not accept. It was ban the Quran. And I did not accept it. I looked at what was on that YouTube channel, and it's hatred against Islam, and it's trying to unify all of the world's religions against Islam and ban the Quran. Well, there's things and they had a lot of scriptures that I don't like from the Quran. But I could point out scriptures that I don't like from the Bible. And I'll bet you if I studied, I could find things that I don't like in the Hindu scriptures, in any place where there are scriptures that are used as a religious foundation. I could find things that are unloving, unkind, unmerciful, and just plain insane. I could find them if I looked, and so could you. No religion is without its flaws, and any religion is just simply part of the matrix that has been created to divide us. So I want to point out a focus that to me is critical. Critical. We need to see ourselves as one people. The reason, hear me, the reason we have become polarized in our world and have created all of these problems is because we have allowed ourselves to become so set on our ego point of view that we don't hear what other people are saying. We get lost and locked into a narrow mindset. That's what's wrong with Christianity. That's what's wrong with Western religions in general. They tend to be narrow mindsets. And I hear you say, but Ron, the Bible says straight is the way and narrow the gate that leads to life, and few there be that find it. Why? What is the way that everybody wants to go into? It's the way of the ego. It's the way of I'm right and you're wrong. That is the one that many go in there at, and it causes their downfall because it pushes love out. It pushes God out. God is love. Do you remember that? Do you remember, you Christians? Do you remember that God is love? And Christians have a hard time loving something that they've identified as Luciferian or satanic or of the devil. They have a hard time not calling people names. And that's one of the things that came out last night. There are people in the group that think that they're intelligent by calling other people names. That's not a mark of intelligence. That's a mark of stupidity. Because you're not listening. You're not accepting the other person's point of view. We can have differences of opinion, and we will, and we do. And we can express them in a way that is productive, that is nonviolent. And that's another thing. There's a consensus in every meeting that I've had, everything that I've gone to so far, every march, every demonstration has emphasized again and again and again peaceful, nonviolent protest. And as much as possible, lawful protest. Stay within the boundaries that are currently set up as much as possible, while still exercising our rights to assemble and free speech, etc. Do you understand that that is the how? We must do it peaceably and not allow ourselves to be caught by those who would stir up trouble, the plants from the corporation and from the banks and from the current status quo system. They want to derail this movement because it is the end of their deception. It is the end of their game, and they know it. They know it. But there is, through all of the things that I've been involved in so far, an emphasis on staying peaceful and calling out. There's people that, a committee just to maintain the peace, to remind people if they start getting out of control, to remind them to center and become peaceful. This is wisdom, and I'm hearing it not just from my mouth, but from the mouths of others that are expressing these concerns. Some of them are libertarians, some of them are progressives. Some, like me, are progressive libertarians. We cover both sides because we're centrists. We understand the middle path of Buddhism and loving your neighbor as yourself. And who is your neighbor? Everybody. And we're recognizing that we're all in God's neighborhood. And where is God's neighborhood? Everywhere. Everywhere. You see, the religions that have taught separation, that's the lie. That's the central nugget of lies that has caused much of the world's problems beyond the money. It is the belief system that my religion is better than your religion and I'm right and you're wrong. That's the way that has absolutely caused destruction. It's the way that leads to destruction. My way is not the only way. Do you hear me? And neither is yours. That may blast your religion and your creed and your belief system all to hell, and let it go to hell, because it comes from the pit of hell, because it divides man against man and ultimately man against God. You say that what I'm teaching is New Age? So be it. But it's old as the hills. Love one another. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That's New Age? Old as the hills. From the beginning, that was true. From the beginning. The end was embedded in the beginning, the Alpha and the Omega. The end was in the beginning. The beginning and the end are love. By this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. If you only love those that think like you do, that's part of the problem. If the I that's in you is divided, your whole body is full of warfare. You are caught in dualism, and you haven't yet learned how to dance. I invite you to join the dance. I invite you to be focused on unity consciousness and on the issue that we're addressing and that we agree upon. We must take the monetary system out of our lives ultimately, but temporarily at least, out of our government, out of our institutions of control. It must be addressed because it is a central issue that everyone seems to agree upon. And I will agree there too, as long as we maintain what the other point of focus is, that we must remain nonviolent and peaceful as much as possible. Be grounded, be centered, be love, because that's what you are. That's what I am. And we are one. Namaste. Thank you for listening.